Welcome to CGN. Today we're going to ask 3 questions for Dark Souls 3. Let's get into it. The two primordial serpents, Cath and Frampt, drive the plot of Dark Souls 1, yet they appear to be at odds with each other. Frampt wants the player to relink the flame, extending the Age of Fire, yet Cath wants the player to ignore the flame, let it burn out, and claim the world as their own, as the Dark Lord. The serpents have a mysterious past, being described as both imperfect dragons and the symbol of the undead. Their primordial title hints towards them being around from the beginning. This would align them with the Age of Dragons, so it's certainly curious how they've become a symbol of the undead. Their relation could be through their shared imperfections, with the undead being imperfect humans, or it could be a nod to both the undead and the serpents having immortality. Another mystery surrounding the serpents is the fact that there's actually more than 2. In the Dark Lord ending to Dark Souls 1, we see that there are at least 10 serpents, and we're told both Cath and Frampt will serve your highness. And this is what brings me to my questions for Dark Souls 3. What are the serpents' true motivations? Apparently Frampt's okay with the Dark Lord coming to power, and why does Cath want to consume the world in darkness? I have a feeling that the answer lies with the serpents' connections to the dragons. If they truly are imperfect dragons, then they either oppose to or serving the dragons. Ending the Age of Fire is something the dragons would want to get back at the gods, so I lean towards the serving theory. We can only hope that the mystery gets solved in Dark Souls 3. Velka is probably the most mysterious, yet influential god in Dark Souls. I think the Vow of Silence item description describes her perfectly. Velka, the goddess of sin, is a rogue deity, but she is versed in arts both new and old, and is considered to have a great range of influence, even as gods are concerned. So what influential things did she do in Dark Souls? Well, many of her items can be found in the painted world of Ariama, signifying connection there. She has a spell which can control all forms of magic and miracles. Velka's talisman can cast miracle using the user intellect, and she even doesn't lose power with the diminishing first flame like the other gods. This has led to her maintaining plenty of power during the time of the undead, when all other gods had vanished. And while she didn't make much of an appearance in Dark Souls 2, she also didn't have a parallel god filling in her shoes. In Dark Souls 3, I hope you learn more about raven-haired Velka and her plans. My biggest question for Dark Souls 3 is one that, despite my limited knowledge of the game, I expect we are most likely to get answered. The Age of Dark is something hinted at in Dark Souls 1. In Dark Souls 2, we as players were surprised to learn that even if we attempted to plunge the world into darkness in the first game, that somebody would eventually come around, again and again, and relink the fire for millennia. To explain the Age of Dark, I'll first have to explain the Age of Fire, which is the current state of the world in Dark Souls. The Age of Fire is the age where the gods are the primary power in the world, gaining their strength from the first flame. This age has been artificially extended by relinking the bonfire, which in short is feeding the fire really powerful beings. This has continued for millennia so far, with cycles of undead eventually coming around and feeding themselves to the flames, after beating a few bosses of course. Just because the fire has been getting relinked for millennia, doesn't mean it always will though. As we're told in Dark Souls 1,
but soon the flames will fade, and only dark will remain.
The Age of Dark is said to be the age of humans, with Dark Souls being the primary power in the world. What it's truly like though, we can't tell. It could be anywhere from the Abyss taking over the world to a prosperous age of humans. Perhaps Dark Souls 3 will shed some light on the Age of Dark. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from? Serpent guy, Joe.
That's maybe a little too serial killer-ish, but we use it in the actual video.